What's up, guys? Mark May here. Another episode here. We are coming at you with episode number 4 of the Mayhem show with Mark May. Lewis is not going to be here tonight. He had another engagement with the Angry Geeks, so you're not going to see him this evening. This is a great night tonight, Thursday night. We're going to be talking to Big Dog Inc.'s own Tom Hutchinson, a guy I respect a ton, as you guys know. The first thing I wanted to do before we get to Tom is tell you guys we got a Kickstarter going on right now for Hellpug and Velocicock. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out on my page. We've got tons of covers. There's 8 different covers by some incredible artists, and it's the next chapter of Hellbringers, folks. So check it out for me. I am going to go ahead with that said and not wait any longer, bringing in our guest, Mr. Tom Hutchinson. How you doing tonight, brother?
It's about damn time, man. I'm sitting back here for like 3 minutes waiting. Don't you know who I am?
I'm sorry. I know. I cut the intro short just for you, too. Just so you know, there was like another minute and a half of that intro, and I was like, you know what? I don't want him to leave. So what's up, man? How's it going tonight?
Good. It's good.
That's awesome, man. I've been doing some fulfillment for Hellbringers Dawn of the Devil. Man, one-man show on this one, and you know how it is. I think you run it as a one-man show as well.
Yeah, I'm getting rid of that one-man show thing. I'm not doing that anymore. I have guys out in Arizona now that are helping me do fulfillment. I can't take that time anymore. I mean, on occasion I can probably still do it. But, you know, with the way that things are ramping up and moving faster and faster and more backers, it's like, dude, if I sit here and take 2 weeks of time to try and get 600 packages out the door, that's 2 weeks of my life is gone. You know, there's no writing. There's no,
absolutely.
There's nothing else that can happen except for that. So I was like, dude, that's step one is I got to get this part dealt with so that when the books come in, they can go right out the door within a couple of weeks and I don't have to touch them.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, the next week of my life is about to be gone. My daughter's birthday is tomorrow, or it's actually Saturday, but we're going to take her to the zoo tomorrow morning. So I'm not going to be able to fulfill tomorrow or Saturday or Sunday because we're doing the birthday party thing for her. But come Monday of next week, I mean, it's packages all the way, you know, at least till Thursday or Friday is my guess. That's what it took for Jengar, but we had a third more backers this time.
Yeah. So and that'll just keep growing. So you gotta have that infrastructure in place so that you don't get bogged down like we've done in the past.
Right, and that's what it kind of feels like. You know, I'm running the Hellpug Kickstarter right now, and I feel like I'm kind of too busy to, you know, promote it like I should. Like I feel like you know, I'm doing these shows every night, sitting down for an hour with a creator every night to talk, and you know, throw out a shout out to the Kickstarter as well as I do it in the beginning and the end. And when I do it, I'm like, can I be doing more? You know what I mean? Like I'm trying everything I can, every avenue that I can think of to get it out there. You know what I mean? And
that's it. You just keep doing it. I mean, you're not doing anything wrong. It's just, you know, you just keep doing it. There's only so much you can really do. I mean, barring some kind of, you know, crazy extracurricular thing that happens that can take your project and put it in the eyeballs of a completely different audience, which is very hard to do. All we can do is kind of just post and be part of our circle and then just let that circle grow slowly or organically over time, because that's how it happens. You know, the fans get their books, they talk about it, it grows a little more. They get their books again, they talk about it, grows a little more. It may not be like doubling up every time, but as long as you're seeing that organic growth, that's it. That's the goal right there.
And that's what I'm hoping for. You know, I take a lot of your advice, and it's not with a grain of salt at all. Like, if people out there don't know, Tom, I've been asking Tom questions for about 3 to 4 years.
Way too long, Mark. Jeez.
Yeah, way too long. And he's always helped me out. He's always been awesome. I've actually worked for Tom last year. I did my first pinup for Big Dog Inc., which was a lifelong dream for me. When I first got into this industry, it was only 6 years ago. And one of my favorite all-time covers, I'm going to show you right now, guys. This is one of the ones that just kind of got me into the industry.
Well, it's a good thing it's a Big Dog cover. That would have been a really disappointing moment for me. Been like, oh, here's this thing from Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hey, my God.
This is Hulk 181, guys. You know what I mean? No. This cover right here, guys, is literally like number one on my all-time favorites list. You can ask Tom. You can ask anybody. I have literally said this forever. I mean, this is the greatest cover I think I've ever seen in my entire life.
The whole series was good. There was a daytime version as well. This is, for those that don't know, this is Joan of Arc from my Penny for Your Soul series, but this is a Eric Basildua and Nia Rufino cover. I think it was Nia, right? Yeah, it had to be Nia.
Mm-hmm.
Had to be Nia at this time. I know we've had some Ula crossovers in some cases, but this was Nia. And they did a day version of it as well, like a nude version or whatever. And the whole set was fantastic. So, yeah, they're very, very hard to get. Nobody's letting them out of their collections.
Mm-hmm. I don't even think I own one for myself besides a raw copy of this one right here. Because they do have a nude variant of this one as well.
Yeah,
and it's fantastic. It's classy. It's elegant. It's what you want to see when it comes to the art like that. And man, that cover right there. I mean, Ebas is the man. Nia, you know what I think of her. She's worked with me. She's incredible. One of the nicest people I've ever met in my entire life.
100%.
That cover right there, man, that's always going to be the one that sticks into my memory for like what you've done so far. You know what I mean? And you've had huge cover artists.
I'll take that. I'll take it. I'll take it.
You've had gigantic, huge cover artists, and that one right there, man, is just like, it's so beautiful. I feel like it belongs in an art gallery somewhere.
It does.
It does.
In the infamous words of Indiana Jones, it belongs in a museum.
It does belong in a museum. So, one of the things I wanted to ask you about tonight is when we're on the road and we're doing conventions and stuff like that, what's your favorite place to eat at? Like, do you have a favorite place? Do you
just anywhere is fine.
Like get fast food?
Anywhere is fine. Nothing specific at all. No. Of course not. Now well, in the old days of Big Dog Inc., before Big Dog Inc. was basically just me, and of course all the people that do the art and stuff, we would have groups that would travel to these shows. Myself, my wife at the time, we used to have a couple of minions that would go with us and help us set up and break down and do all that kind of stuff. And it would pretty much be inevitable that at least one of the nights, we would make a trek to Red Lobster. That is the official, the unofficial sponsor of Big Dog Inc. is Red Lobster. In fact, C2E2 2 years ago, I was with CB Zane and Allison Lear, and we actually went to Red Lobster back-to-back nights. So, it was Lobster Fest, and we had a good time. We freaked out the maitre d' on the second. Not the maitre d', but the guy who takes the orders from us, the waiter. We came in the second day and he was like, "Hey, what's going on? Let me tell you about the specials." We're like, "Nope, we know what we want. ... Give us this." He was like stuck in this like weird time warp. Like he didn't know what to do, because these guys have like a script that they're trying to run through. Like tonight's special is this and this and this and this, and then but we didn't let him do any of that. It was like, "Nope, stop. We want these three things. We're done." And we clearly threw him off his game through the whole rest of the night. But yeah, it's Red Lobster. Even when I'm on my own, it's easier because I can just be like, "Well, tonight's the night. We're off to Red Lobster."
What's your favorite thing to get at Red Lobster?
I pretty much will always get the seafood feast thing. It's basically just all shrimp. It's breaded shrimp, shrimp scampi, and then like an Alfredo noodle thing. Yeah. I've had other stuff, and it's fine. And I like the stuffed mushrooms, which are good.
I'm an Admiral's Feast guy myself.
Basically, the Admiral's Feast is the same thing. It's just like a step up. It might have some lobster in it.
Admiral's
it goes
Feast
a little bit, but yeah,
a ton of fried food is all it is. I'm from the South, so it's just an amazing combination of fried food. We got a couple people that are saying hello. Mike James Bingston says hello. James Smithers says hello. Freddie Hernandez says hello. Russ Cassidy says, "Can Mark figure out how to turn it on?" You damn right I know how to turn it on. Let's see. We also got Thomas Bishop says hello to everyone. Russ wants me to ask you some tough questions tonight, and he's already got one himself, so I want to go ahead and throw that out because this is actually a good question. He wants to know how you dealt with such an explosive growth at the beginning and then moving on under Aspen Comics and then going back on your own. Tell us about that if you can.
It wasn't explosive. Like we just talked at the beginning, everything was organic, slow growth. Now, maybe we had faster growth than some other creator-owned indie guys. That's possible, but there wasn't a situation where we went from selling 3,000 units, in year one to 10,000 units in year two. Like that just didn't happen. We literally grew those numbers up over the first 4 years of Big Dog Inc. Through what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different titles at the time, some spinoffs. Scheherazade was our best-selling title right before we went to Aspen. So we had grown from selling 3,000 units to selling like 7,000 units. So it was growth, but it wasn't like boom, and we lost control of it. The Aspen thing was basically just we kind of felt like our numbers weren't moving. I mean, literally, we were looking at it as our numbers weren't moving fast enough. So what were our options? I mean, at the time, we were huge convention presence across the country, and we thought, well, we could really just kind of focus on the cons and really make those sort of our bread and butter. The other thing would be to try and get somebody to basically put their name behind us to kind of say like, hey, we're established. We think these guys are great. We're going to hook this up together and we're going to show you why they're great. And that's where the Aspen thing came from. And it was great. It was a great team up. We did it for 3 years. We had set it up for 2. We did it for an extra year. It never quite did what we wanted it to do. And there's a multitude of reasons, but it wasn't for lack of Aspen. It wasn't for lack of me. It wasn't for anything. It was just, I think we had the wrong sort of plan for what we wanted to try and do. We thought we had the right plan. And it worked all right, but we needed that extra step of like, bang, where's that pop? And we just couldn't quite get it together to really maximize what we were doing. And as we kind of started to make some modifications, that's when Aspen was partially sold to a movie producer, some segment, Movie House, because they wanted to make Michael Turner, Fathom and Soulfire stuff. And at that point, it was like, yeah, there's not really a place for Big Dog with Aspen there. So, and I was like, listen, I understand that. I'm not like bent out of shape about it. I get it. And that's when we came back and I had to make that big decision. I was like, well, we could go back into Diamond, and this would have been 2017 maybe. 2017, I think. I was like, well, we could go back into Diamond. We could put these books back out, but the market's really weird. Independent books are not really being promoted or sold in any kind of real numbers anymore, outside of a few, handfuls of exceptions. And that's when we started to lean into Kickstarter. And it was like, well, okay, what about Kickstarter? How does this work? What do we need to do? What's the dynamic? What's the infrastructure? And at that point, it was just me. My minions were gone. I'm in a divorce. Aspen was gone. Everything was zero again. Not zero really, because I had the content, and I had the books and I had the name, but it was basically just a big do-over for Kickstarter. And we've been growing Kickstarter now for 4 going on 5 years, and that has become our distribution model. It's our distribution method. We're not in Diamond anymore. We do deal with comic book stores directly. So if somebody's watching and you have a comic book store and you want us to be in your store, 100%, we deal direct with stores all the time, but we're not in the Diamond catalog like we used to be. And that's just where we are right now. That's just sort of the state of the industry as it stands right now. That's just where we kind of need to be. And within that need, we're finding a way to grow what we're doing. Admittedly, we're moving slower than we did before. We used to do 2 to 3 to 5 books a month, whereas now we're doing 1 issue every quarter. So that's a big change. But direct to customer is just the best way to sell books right now. There's no reason to create a middleman like Diamond and sell out in retail stores, because the retail stores just aren't supporting what we do.
I was about to ask you what's better, going with Diamond or doing what you're doing right now.
Diamond is the impossible segment of the industry for small press. You look at the Diamond 300 is what it used to be. We've sold books on the Diamond Top 300 before. It's now the Diamond Top 500 because all of these smaller press companies weren't getting into the charts. And so it was expanded to show the top 500 selling books every month. And that's when you start to see Scout and Zenoscope and I don't know, whoever else, Vault and Boom and whatever. I mean, Boom's a lot of licensed stuff, so they're already up in there. But and you see on that list that a lot of these books are only selling about 1,500 to 2,000 units, and that's not it's not sustainable. You have to have more going on, and I'm sure these guys do. And I'm not privy to any of what they do as far as direct sales and all that. But just selling through Diamond is just it's not something that can exist on its own. It has to be that has to be sort of treated as a marketing expense. Like, hey, we're going into Diamond, we're going into the previews catalog, we're getting in stores across the country, hopefully, and then that is marketing for other things that you do. And that's kind of the way that I look at it right now. So if we were to go back into Diamond, I would have to know, like, look, we're probably not going to make any money. We might be able to break even, in which case that's fine, because then the product is just paying for itself, and then it's marketing. But if you're not paying, and if you're not selling enough to at least make your money back, you're going in the hole every single month, and that's a problem. So it's just business wise, it doesn't make sense for that to be the be all end all. It can be part of your overall, scheme 100%, but it can't be the only thing.
Right. So then, when it comes to Kickstarters, you said you started 4 years ago. What was it like when you first started? Can you tell us, like, maybe what you made on your first Kickstarter, and maybe the direction you thought you were going to go, but might not have known yet?
Our first Kickstarters were actually when I was still with Aspen. We tested the market with Lights Camera Jungle and Kaiju Epic, 2 completely brand new titles. We did about 9,000 on each, something like that. So it was really on the low side. It was only like barely a couple hundred backers. But part of that was because, and this was part of the thing that we realized when we were with Aspen, was people thought that we had disappeared because there was no Big Dog Inc. We weren't in the Diamond catalog anymore, even though we were under the Aspen brand. There's no Big Dog Inc. listed at the cons because we were under the Aspen brand. So even though Aspen was using our Big Dog Inc. name and stuff as we were doing promotion, it appeared as though we had disappeared. And we didn't really catch on to that until about year 2, that people were just like, dude, where have you been? And I'm like, dude, what do you want me to tell you? We've been here for 2 years doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. Social media, man. I mean, you're following me. Why aren't you, hearing that I've been with Aspen for 2 years? So the first 2 were just kind of, let's test this. Let's see how this works. They were okay. They weren't great. But when people got the books, people liked the books. They were like, oh, this is cool, even though it was completely brand new titles. So I was like, okay, so at least people liked it. But when we came back into Kickstarter for full time in, again, roughly 2017-ish, we started again with Penny for Your Soul. So because I was like, well, we started with Penny. We started this company with Penny. Let's start this company again with Penny. And immediately we went rolling over the 200 backer mark. We did, I think, 16,000 on that campaign. So much more than the first 2. Obviously, it was Penny for Your Soul, so it's a different brand and so on. But from there, we did Penny for Your Soul 2. We did almost the exact same thing, second issue. And then we did a Penny for Your Soul number 3. We had a jump, Penny for Your Soul 4, jump, 5, jump, 6, jump, 7, huge jump. So it was a matter of basically establishing yourself within the Kickstarter brand. And like we just talked about, just slowly growing the awareness that you're there, because there's people that buy books on Kickstarter that I have no idea who they are. I've never met them. They probably never bought Big Dog Inc.'s book before. They just found me on Kickstarter and they were like, oh, this is cool. And they've stuck with me all the way through all the Penny books. We go into Oz, we go into Ursa Minor, we go into Critter. You can see those names following through these books. Not all the time, but often enough that you can see this is a Kickstarter backer. This is a guy who's on Kickstarter and he's watching what's here.
Right. You know who your fans are.
Yeah,
sure.
Exactly.
As you look through the Kickstarters, like I have for the past 3, I'm like, these are the guys. These are the guys that are sticking with you, the guys that are backing your books, getting you funded. They love your stuff. And like, these are the guys like, you want to take care of if you ever meet them at a show. Because like, these are amazing, amazing people.
Yeah. And we actually have 2 shows for sure this year somehow, with potentially 2 more that are about to get announced. So we are going to start filtering out the shows this year.
Nice. That's fantastic news. I'm starting to sign on for a couple myself. I'm already signed on for Colorado Springs Comic-Con, Rhode Island Comic-Con. Hopefully Vegas comes back, because I've already paid up for that one for the last 2 years, and I love that place, and I cannot wait to go back. Vegas is my number one.
I haven't heard anything about Vegas. I'm guessing it's going to be a no, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like we're only a few months away from when they'd be doing it. They can move it, obviously, if they wanted to move it. But as far as its normal June spot, that's probably a no.
Hey, look, I'd rather go to Vegas in December than June. Any day
I know, right? That's the better time anyway.
138 degrees when you're walking down the strip. I mean, you make it 1 block and you're like, I think I'll stay in the air conditioning so I can survive a couple more hours.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Let me ask you a question then. I usually don't like to talk about myself on the show when I have somebody like you, a legend, sir, that I respect so much, but I do want your opinion. What do you think about Hellbringers and what I've done in the past few months as far as internal growth for a Kickstarter? What do you see?
I mean, to be perfectly honest, I don't watch close enough to be able to, like, I'm not examining your backer count. I'm not examining your dollar amount. I'm not, none of that is, I'm not doing analytics on what you're doing. But just from a general sense of consistency and, obviously when you post stuff, I see the pictures of your art and your covers and all that kind of stuff. From a quality standpoint, from a consistency standpoint, from a voice standpoint of what the product is, it all seems to be working to me. And if you keep, and like I said, all you have to do is establish that foothold. And once you've got it, then it's just organic growth. You go from 200 backers to 225, 225 to 275, 275, you crack the 300. Again, you might already be over 300. I don't know. But it's just those little incremental pieces of growth that you need to see to know that you're doing it right. I think there's too many people that look at like Brian Polito and he's like, oh, he's doing 300,000. Like, doesn't matter. He's got a 25-year-old brand behind him. He's worked with, all kinds of horror icons. He's an entity to himself. If you're coming in and you're just somebody who's like, oh, I'm going to make comics, and you have this thing that nobody knows what it is, you have to start at zero. You have to start at the bottom rung and climb your way up to the next and the next and the next. That's it. There's no magic formula here. I mean, obviously, you can get some help by using certain artists and so on, because you can try and attract their fan base into your product, because they'll buy that artist just because I collect whoever. I collect Eric Basilidua. Awesome. He's doing a thing for Mark. Awesome. I'll buy that book. They might not know what the book is, but they know what the artist is. So that's sort of one of the little coattail tricks of growing what you do, without people knowing what you're doing, I guess you could say. Because like when we started, it was the same thing. We started to have some variants. Eric Basilidua did covers for Penny for Your Soul. Nia Arfino was coloring them. Then we had Mike DeBalfo. And it was just this little bit, the circle just kept growing. Hey, they did this for this company. They did this for this company. They did this for this company. And then suddenly they were like, oh, penny for your soul. I get it. I know what this is. Where's more of it? And then you just keep going. You just keep going. You just keep going.
That's very inspiring, Tom. Appreciate that. One of the other things I was going to ask you about is when you first started choosing your artist, and you had mentioned, bringing in amazing artists. I had one for the last Kickstarter, and I'd like to show it right now, this cover. This is...
Oh, yeah, he's okay.
Yeah, this is the Shannon Mayer variant for Dawn of the Devil, and he's
fine.
I have one for you, for yours, that I want to bring up here and show everyone, because this is one of my all-time favorite covers.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I love this cover.
Yeah, Shannon is Shannon's
Yeah,
is a hell of a talent, man.
I wanted to ask you about Shannon because I know weren't you one of the first to work with him?
Yeah, we had his first published cover. Yeah. Legend of Oz #7.
A little bit about how you found him.
Facebook. That was it. Facebook. He had, I don't know if he had posted in a group or if we had just found his own page somehow, but somehow we just came across his art, and he was doing stuff for slot machines and stuff in Vegas. And it was like, well, this looks cool. And we had never shied away from doing like this painted style stuff. So when we saw it, it was like, well, let's just, shoot him a message and see if he's interested in comics. Turns out he was. And we were like, well, we have this book that maybe it would work. It's Legend of Oz, blah, blah, blah. And he was immediately into it. He was like, oh yeah, this sounds really super cool. And he immediately started doing some roughs. And as soon as the roughs came back, I was like, I'm not really feeling that, but here's the idea that I had. Here was my thought process. Let's have the yellow brick road. Let's have her laying on it. Let's have the poppies up the side. And he was like, oh, I get it. Totally get it. And then he just like was boom. And he was on it, and it was done. And it was his first ever cover. So, yeah.
Wow.
And he's since worked on every book we have done, not Princesses versus Zombies. We couldn't get him for that. It wasn't within the schedule for that. But I think he's worked on every other book that we've done for the most part. Kaiju Epic also, but that's monsters. We don't need Shannon drawing monsters unless he wants to draw monsters. Then he can draw monsters. That's fine with me.
I'd like to see that. I just saw him draw a dragon for Magic.
That's right. That's right. I did see that. Yeah. Well, and what's funny is when I talk to artists, they talk about things like Kaiju Epic. They're like, oh man, I would love to draw monsters. I'm like, that is so crazy to me. But I guess most of the time they get asked to just draw sexy chicks. So anytime that they have an opportunity to like expand the repertoire, it probably feels really good to them.
I got to tell you something. That is something I'd really like to do. So if you ever need a cover from me on that one, let me know, because you're right. I mean, that's what I draw all the time is sexy chicks. So it'd be nice to do something else a little bit. Speaking of working with you, when I worked with you, it was incredible. It felt like an experience that you basically took me from a level 7 and put me at like a level 9 from where I think I can be for right now. And it was like, it's crazy because when you work with certain publishers, they can lift you up and they can, tell you what to do, give you inspiration, give you direction. And you're one of the guys that actually I felt like I learned stuff from as I worked with you. And I use some of the stuff that you taught me from the one experience, like even now when I work with other people. It's really awesome, man. I just wanted you to know how much I respect and love you, man.
Well, I appreciate it. I mean, it's a big thing when artists are able to take edit and critique and be like, no, I need it to be this way because ultimately, dude, I'm paying for this, so I need it to be my way versus the way that you think it needs to be, and so on. Because I'm the one that has to sell the book. When at the end of the day, you get paid regardless of what happens, but I'm selling the book, so I got to have it my way. And some artists respond to that and they're like, I get it, let's go, tell me what you need. Other artists are just like, dude, it is my way or the highway. And it's like, well, down the 80 east you go, I guess. But that's the way it is. It's the way it is. I would say 90% of the time I get very little flack about, hey, we need to fix this, we need to fix that. Most of the time they get like, yeah, you're right, I see it. Okay. I was just working with an artist the other day who admitted to me, and I'm not going to say who it was. He admitted to me because I pushed him on this piece that he was doing. He showed me these two pieces, and they were kind of like ordinary pieces for it. And I'm like, let's take a step forward. Let's get out of this normalcy box and let's go a different way for you. And he'd done that for me before. We'd gone different ways before. So I knew he could do it. And he turned on the piece and it turned out great. And he was like, yeah, you know what? You were right. There's an awful lot of times where I have editors tell me, hey, we want to do it this way instead of that way. And, sometimes he does it, sometimes he doesn't. But he's like, yeah, most of the time they were right. And I should have just done it that way. So that was a really great moment. Cause I'm like, and it's not admitting that you did it wrong as an artist. It's just, you understand that the publisher has a vision for what it is. And it's ultimately their product. You are what's going to sell it, but the actual physical book they have to sell. So it was a really great moment with him to be like, yeah, I get it. I really appreciate you pushing me on this because I think it came out great. And I do too. And it hasn't even been seen yet. You guys haven't even seen it. It will be part of Goth Day. I'll just tell you that. And it was really great. It was really awesome. And I love this guy so much. And it took so long for me to finally get to work with him. And then when we finally got him, it was like, boom, 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 let's go. Knock it out. Give me some pieces. And so he's going to have 3 or 4 covers this year because we finally got back into his schedule. And so just keep your eyes open for all of that.
Boom. What's your first con going to be if you are able to do one?
I can't say what the first one's going to be yet because it's not locked in. The potential first 2 are not 100% locked in, but we should know pretty soon. The one that I am doing is in September 17th, 18th. It's here in Michigan, Monroe, Michigan. It's right below, just south of Detroit. So if anyone is down here, Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, Pennsylvania, I expect you all to be there. I want to see mountains of books to sign because I haven't been a con in a year and a half, and it's time to catch up. So Monroe Pop Fest, September 17th and 18th. 17th is like a preview night. I think it's 5 to 9 or something, but then it's all day Saturday on the 18th. So come on up and check out the Big Dog Ink booth. And then as soon as we have those other shows, which should be soon, we'll let you know what's happening with those.
All right. Tom, did you have a favorite comic growing up?
I mean, sort of in that I was always chasing Godzilla issues, the old Marvel stuff.
Old Marvel ones?
Yeah, because that's where I started with comics. That was my first ever comic was Godzilla 16. And basically that is what opened the doors to comics for me. Not just the Godzilla, but when you had the ads inside, it's like, well, here's ads for the Hulk and Fantastic Four and Ghost Rider and whatever. So I would buy the Godzilla books and I would keep seeing these ads and I'm like, what is this other stuff? And so that kind of opened up the doors to everything. Wonder Woman was big for me back in the day. Ghost Rider. Actually, I went from Godzilla to Ghost Rider because I saw those Ghost Rider ads, and so I found Ghost Riders at the flea market I was at. So I was just kind of all over the place. I was big on Wonder Woman for a long, long time. I've dropped out of the mainstream books, the Marvel and DC. I haven't picked up those books in years upon years. But the old stuff I still like. I mean, I still have my collection here, and it still has some holes in it, so I still have some fun searching to be able to do.
So I'm a huge Ghost Rider fan too.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first keys that I ever bought was a Ghost Rider #1. I got lucky because I did it 6 years ago. I don't know if you've seen comic prices recently.
Oh yeah, no, you can't buy comics. Anybody buying comics for all those old stuff right now? Holy shit! No, what are you doing? It is the wrong time to buy.
You know what? I feel really sad because a lot of the books that I had that were super valuable right now are books that I had to sell to go on the road to be able to make my own books.
Sure.
And I just sit here and I think about it right now. I could have a house for my kid and my
I know, right?
future wife right now. But instead, I decided to make, you know what I mean? Like, and it's kind of a trade off. Like, I could
Totally.
have had that, but this right here, guys, I'm sorry. Like, at the end of the day, like, I'll be the coolest homeless kid in the camp with this comic book. You understand what I'm saying?
That's right.
So that's kind of how it rolls down. Like, to me, it's that important was to make it, because I had been traveling the con circuit for 4 to 5 years just looking for work from other people, and I had just tried, man, over and over, and I still do it. And you know, eventually I was just like, I want to have my own comic book. You know what I mean? I want to do what these guys do because I love what they do, and they're so passionate about it, and that's why I want to work with or for them, like you. And then I'm like, you know, I have my own stories. Why don't I do this too? You know what I mean?
Sure.
And it's a great feeling. It's good to be the boss sometimes, but when it comes to covers, it's great to have direction. So my editor in chief, aka my future wife, she is the worst critic in the world on my artwork. Like I thought you were bad, and then here she comes. No, I'm just kidding, Tom. You're the best. But here she comes, and she's just like, dude, it's so bad that you can't even erase it. She's like, you got to start over. And I'm like, oh my God, listen, we're only gonna last 2 years, and I'm divorcing you. Period. It was like that's all that's gonna happen. But no, I love the hell out of her. She's awesome when it comes to that. She lets me know when it's good and when it's bad, and she doesn't let me get away and be lazy anymore, which is fantastic because I kind of needed that kick in the butt there for a little bit. You know what I mean? So anytime that I can learn something new art-wise from different artists or publishers, it's great. Who is a publisher that you actually learned from the way I kind of learned from you?
Oh, I learned from Aspen. I mean, I that was the only publisher that I had any connection to as far as actually, you know, being there I mean, not day to day, obviously, but from doing all the cons and stuff with them. I learned a lot from Aspen. I learned a lot from Frank Mastromoro, Vince Hernandez, Peter Steigerwald, Mark Roslin, all the guys that are at Aspen. I learned a lot hanging out with them on con weekends and watching how they do things and going into the office and you know, all that kind of stuff. Learned a lot. Everything else from a publisher standpoint, I'm on the outside looking in, so I can't really look at, you know, Scout and be like, oh yeah, I get what's going on there, because I have no clue what's going on there. They're just doing their thing, and whatever it is what it is. But you know, again, they're one of those companies that'll sell, like, you know, 1,500 units, and I'm like, well, okay, but what else are you doing? Because you're not surviving just solely on those 1,500 units. So clearly you've got something else happening. I don't know what that is because I'm not part of the company. But yeah, that's it. I mean, everything else is circumstantial. You know, you look at a company and you watch what they do from a content standpoint, and you can be like, oh, that's cool. That makes sense. I like the way that they managed this crossover, this storyline, whatever. But that's all circumstantial. I mean, that's just reading Marvel and DC books or reading Image books and just being like, oh, okay, that's inspiration stuff versus like actually learning something about the industry, about the business, about publishing books. I learned more about publishing books by reading Josh Blaylock's How to Publish Comic Books and Not Just Create Them. It's funny because I go around and I tell people I'm a graduate of the Josh Blaylock How to Publish Comics course, because I learned way more in there than I ever did just being in the industry. I mean, obviously you pick things up in the industry, but to get there, I mean, there were things like I'd never even considered, like barcodes. I was like, barcodes? What the hell are we talking about barcodes for? But that was in his book. And anybody who is thinking about getting into comics, I know he just has put out a couple of revised editions over the past few years. Go get Josh Blaylock's How to Publish Comics, Not Just Create Them. Do yourself a favor. I get $1 for every copy he sells. No, I'm kidding. But Josh Blaylock, if you guys don't know, he's the guy that does Devil's Due. And he has been through the ups and the downs of publishing for the last decade or two as well. So He has learned a lot. He's a very smart guy, and grab that book. You will not be disappointed.
I actually think I'm going to go pick it up right now on Amazon while we're talking.
Yeah, there's a number of versions. I think the latest version is about 5 years old. But yeah, no, it's a great book. It will teach you a lot about things that you had no idea mattered, and a business side and creative wise. It's not just a business book. It's an all encompassing book.
Did you have any favorite creators growing up, or I mean, did you even like know who the creators were, or did you just
No, I didn't. I had no clue. I had no clue until I had this conversation with somebody like a few weeks ago. I had no conception of writers and artists until I picked up a Todd McFarlane Spider-Man book, because it was so dramatically different that I was like, what is happening here? Something is happening here. The first one I picked up, I can't think of the number. It's like a purple cover. It has these two moron characters, Sticks and Stone. Total throwaway issue. It's not anything, but it was so different artistically that I was like, this is different, and that kind of triggered me to start looking at comics in a different way. Now, part of that is because there was a lot of DC and Marvel. There was a lot of sort of like what they'd call house style. Like they want things to look a certain way. And even though you've got guys like Neil Adams and Jim Aparo and whoever is doing these books, they all have their way of doing it. There was sort of a desire for things to kind of fall into a box. And we kind of want it to go this way. Now, when you go back and you look at it now, new eyes will look at it and be like, oh, okay, I can see the differences here. But there was a lot of it that just, when you draw the skull, it's the skull. But when you look at Sam Keith's Ghost Rider, that sure as hell doesn't look like, the Ghost Rider from the 70s. So styles kept evolving and evolving through the 70s, especially the 80s into the 90s, to get to where we finally had the Image boom, and when art was everything, and it was all crazy. But no, I really didn't pay attention to artists at all until, and the other thing is back in the day, oftentimes you had artists that would go on runs for years upon years of time. So John Byrne did epic runs of the X-Men, Fantastic Four. He was on these books for long periods of time. So you'd be reading this book, and of course it's the same because it's the same. Nowadays, if you get 4 or 5 issues out of an artist, you've done something special. And then it's on to another artist, and on to another artist, on to another artist. So, and not to say that the fill-in guys or the replacements are bad, but there's no Jim Balent 50 issues of Catwoman. Like that just doesn't happen anymore in comics. So that's another kind of thing that affects the mind as you're thinking about older books. Is there were people like Don Perlin was on the Defenders like forever, and then he wasn't, but it was still kind of in that realm. Like it wasn't going from Don Perlin to Todd McFarlane. It wasn't like this dramatic shift. So yeah, long ranting, weird, tangential story. So the answer is no. I didn't pay attention to art until I finally did, and then once I did, I got very, very into it. I was even an art dealer for a while, just like on the side, dealing in art pages and stuff. Cool. So yeah. I sold way too many. God, I wish I had them now. Holy shit, I wish I had them now. I had an epic crypto collection of original art, and it's all gone.
Oh, not cool, so, man.
Yeah, no. I mean, I made money on it at the time. I was flipping art. It's like, hey, I got this for $100 a page. I'm flipping it for $2. I'm doing fine.
Oh,
but, in my mind, I wasn't thinking of like, what could this be in a decade? It was like, hey, I bought this at a con. I really like it, but I want to get more art. So maybe I'll flip it, I'll sell it, and then I'll let me buy more art. So it was just a cycle. And I've kept a lot. I still have a couple of art books.
I actually go through it myself, Tom. I do the same thing. Like I'll get comics, and my goal in when I sell a comic is always to replace it with another comic, even if it's only $1 or $2. You know what I mean? Just guess. Just take a gamble on what you think is going to be good. And I've been really lucky in the past 6 years, I feel like, because you think about what's popular, what's going to be popular, what you know is going to be a movie or something like that, or like, and you get like, you know, the first issue, first appearance or something like that.
For me, none of that meant shit. I did not collect comics in any capacity for value. I bought what I wanted to own, and that was it. And if it happened to be something, awesome. But when I was doing comic art, that was kind of a mixed bag. That was, wow, I really like that page. That is awesome. I want to take that home. And then it would be in the book, and I'd go to a con, and I'd be like, oh my God, I want that page.
Right.
I don't know if I have the money, but if I could sell this page, I could buy those 3 pages over there. And so I started to create this crazy cycle. But in my, I always talk about original art because people talk about limited edition comics and so on. You've got so many books, but with art, there's one. It's just one. And for me to be selling off all this stuff that I had that was legitimately good pages. This wasn't just me like going, hey, let me buy these $20 pages.
Right.
I'm buying like splash pages and key, you know, large image pages.
All pieces.
I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? I just want those crypto pages back. Like, man, it's like, oh Jesus. I think about the 20 or so crypto pages that I had, and I just kicked myself.
Ugh.
But yeah, you know, it is what it is. And it got me to where I am, and I'm doing what I'm doing now. And you know, ultimately it all funneled to where I am here. And, you know, it's all good. It's all fine.
One of the things I was going to tell you is we had a fan on Facebook ask, he said, where did you get the inspiration for Penny for Your Soul?
So Penny was basically, how do I put this? Penny was basically here's the problem with organized religion. You know, my parents and step parents and so on were very church going people. And I used to go to church too, but I reached a point where I was like, really, this is what we're doing? And I started having questions about it. You know, I went through all the normal, like, you know, I'm not doing church anymore. I'm not buying into the story, whatever it is. So I reached a point where I wanted to kind of get that out of my system, kind of throw some stuff around and be like, hey. I don't know that Penny was exactly what I intended it to be, but it did work. It did kind of let me flush it out. But in the process, after volume 1, it kind of led me to this point of, you know what? There's more story here. There's a larger concept here than just me being, you know, whatever it is that I was. And so that's why, I mean, it was Penny for Your Soul Volume 1 is written to be an ending. Spoiler alert. It's written to be an ending, but it's also written in a way that it leaves the doors open for more to follow, which I came back and I followed it. But it became more of just a larger adventure message style story than just the, yeah, screw those religion guys. That was the tiny little nugget of it. But it's grown out way past what it was when I started. So, but yeah, that was the basic gist of it. Was like, I'm not buying into this. You know, I had too many questions. I'm very into history. I love history. I love archaeology. You can blame Indiana Jones for that stuff. And so, you know, I would read about stuff from the Bible. I would watch these movies and documentaries about this Bible stuff, and, you know, finding the Ark of the Covenant, like literally not just the indie stuff, but there's guys that say they've found the Ark of the Covenant. You know, there's supposedly Mary Magdalene's skull in this church in, I think, Brazil or something. Just so much stuff, and it's like none of this. People are rallying around these artifacts, but there's no proof that any of this is anything.
Right.
And so that's where I kind of am like, what are we doing? How does this work? How does this affect us? Moving past just the internal personal issues that I have with it, starting to examine how all of this affects society is part of Penny for Your Soul as you go through the whole story, and it keeps growing and growing and growing. Penny is filled with messages, very subtle in some cases, very obvious in other cases. But it is a book that allows me to keep commenting on society the way that I want people to kind of think about it. Not that I'm telling them this is the way it is, but just think about some of these things. When you hit these messages in the books, hopefully they're catching these little subtleties and they're like, okay, I get it. And so that's what Penny has become, is this sort of societal commentary as the story grows around all these characters. And we start going back in history a little bit too, with like Anubis and Bastet, and where did they come from? The gods that aren't the god, those are actually mixed into this story now too. So there's a lot of layers to Penny for Your Soul, man. That's a whole podcast all by itself, I think.
Well, then let's talk about this character right here. How did you come up with her?
Critter was originally just a drawing that I did in the back of business class because I was bored. And I was trying, at the time, I wanted to be a comic book artist. Kind of. It wasn't that I wanted to be a comic book artist, but I wanted to draw. And so it was all my friends were the same way. I was like, hey, let's draw comics. Let's draw comics. And so I was drawing like the X-Men and whatever. I was like, this is some boring shit, man. And so basically I just created her because again, if you're going to draw comics, you got to draw a character that looks the same again and again and again. And I found it way more interesting to design a character and draw her than to just draw Nightcrawler again, or just draw Colossus again, or whatever. So that's where she came from. And over time, eventually, those dumb little drawings and sketches I would change her costume. Like, she would have this costume, and then I would change the costume, and then I would change the costume. And as I was doing that, it was like stories were being presented within these different outfits. And so I started to write who she was for each of these things. Why is she wearing this? Why is she wearing this? Why is she wearing this? To a point where I had created a story for her that is nothing like what we have. The actual story that you guys have is like third, fourth sort of iteration of what this was going to be. But when I finally kind of really got it, and she really kind of clicked with me, it was old school superheroes, man. I was trying too hard to do something like unique, whatever that means, with superheroes. And so I just went back to tone and texture of the 70s and the 80s, which is the comic books that I grew up with and the stuff that I loved. So it was basically just a throwback. I'm like, look, let's just do these fantasy costumes. Let's do the utility belts. Let's do the secret identities. Let's do all the cliches, but just have fun with it and not worry about it. Like, everybody nowadays is so worried about the cliches and the tropes and making things real. I'm like, that's horseshit. Superheroes are not real. Why are you trying to make superheroes real? Take that shit out of here. So everything that I do kind of lands in that realm, that sort of fantasy. Let's just have fun with this, whatever this is, and run with it. And that Critter was the first thing I ever wrote. And she ended up being the second book released, but that was just because of artistic speed for one book to the other. Critter was intended to come out first. But Critter came out, and she's been right along Penny for Your Soul and Oz as the 3 top longest running books in BDI history.
Wow. That's incredible, man. I once submitted to Tom for this character, and I drew Becky Lynch because that's what I saw when I saw her. If you could cast her as an actress in a movie, who would you choose, Tom?
Oh, I couldn't even pick now because the people that I would want are past where she could be. But back in the old days, I was all about Emma Stone being Critter. Like, I was like, dude, you go back and you look at Jules back in Superbad. I'm like, that's Critter right there. Cast her right now. Now she could probably still do like a voiceover, like if we did a cartoon or something. But as far as like live action, I'm sure there are plenty of new, younger actresses that would probably fit the role better. But I honestly don't really know at this point. Every now and then we do like this fan cast, like, hey, who would you want to like do this and do that? And it's really interesting who they pick. And 9 times out of 10, I have no idea who they are. So clearly everybody's way more in tune with like the pop culture world than I am. You know, I'm still stuck like in the 80s and the 90s when I was like really heavy into the movie scene and everything. Um, but now it's like, now I have no idea who these people are. Like all these TV actors and actresses, like I don't know who these people are. But from a visual sense, it's like that's pretty cool because they'll post a picture. It's like that's pretty cool. I like the way that looks. There was one the other day. I was thinking about Dorothy from Legend of Oz. I saw a picture of somebody. I was like, God damn, that's her right there. And now I don't remember who it was. Man. And it was somebody that I kind of knew, and she had the look, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's really good." I don't know, but yeah, the only one that we've really kind of all latched onto in the big dog world as far as fan casting is Ursa Minor and Naomi, because I made up these fake movie posters for Ursa Minor using Chloe Grace Moretz as Naomi, and every time people see those, we post them every now and then. Every time people see them, they're like, dude, why isn't this a thing yet? And I'm like, because I don't know how to contact Chloe. You know, because she's done genre stuff before, horror and sci-fi and all kinds of stuff. So I'd be like, dude, yeah. Of course, she did play a werewolf already. She was a werewolf in Dark Shadows with Johnny Depp. So, you know, maybe she's past the were creature thing. But yeah, that's the one that it's like, I want that. Everything else we can kind of work with.
Well, Tom, it is 8 o'clock, my friend. How you feeling right now? You want to hop up here? You want to go a little bit longer?
Dude, we do 2 hours every time we do these shows. So you tell me. This is your time, man. This is your time.
I can definitely go a little longer. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Would you be okay if I started showing off some of the stuff for Hellpug and Velocicock?
Yeah, sure.
Would that be okay with you?
Yeah.
Guys, we're running a Kickstarter right now for Hellpug and Velocicock. And right now we're going to do a free giveaway. So, guys, right here in my hands, I got a Dawn of the Devil Chromium Mark May and Becky Fuller edition. Becky Fuller making her first cover debut on colors on this book right here. That book, you're going to be able to get this Chromium edition book. And by the way, it's got a streak. It's got some damage right here. So you see that streak? It's got a little damage right there. So it's not near mint. I would probably grade it at about a fine. So this right here, guys, this is going to be your giveaway for tonight. The next backer that backs Hellpug and Velocicock, and I got it up right now. If you go back it right now, you're going to get this as well. So the first one that backs it will also get this one. Okay, well, that was fast. Oh, my God.
Let me guess, Mike?
Hold on. I got to log in. Wow. All right. Let's see. Connie. All right. Connie, congratulations. This one goes to you, ma'am. You will be getting the Chromium Mark May edition. That was probably the fastest I have ever seen anybody do that. Thank you so much. Wow. Jesus. Okay. Wow.
So that took all of 2 minutes, Mark. What do you got? What else? Yeah. What are we doing now?
Yeah, you're right. Let me show off some of the covers if I can. These are the covers for Hellpug and Velocicock. We got Ed Smith and Russ Cassidy's cover up at the top left. Brett Okamura's cover with the Hulk 181 homage to Herb Trimpe. Ian Chase Nichols' cover, who does the tick, right there in the middle. Sarah Frazetta homaging her grandfather for the Egyptian Queen painting. And Sanju with the amazing painting color job himself. He is the man. And every time I see him do colors, it really just inspires the hell out of me to become a better artist. And then my best buddy, Stephen Fawala, down at the bottom left with Russ Cassidy on colors. Awesome to see Steve doing art again. And then there's Steph Wilson and Carrie Ann in the middle and the bottom. And my cover with Sanju's colors. And then Joseph Rubenstein, who, has worked on every title known to man, at the bottom right down there, did a painting for that one. And this is my cover. Tom, what you think of this?
It's fine. It's fine. Oh, is that Sanju colors again?
Yeah.
Yeah, for those that don't know, Mark did a piece in the Showgirls Penny for Your Soul tribute book, and Sanju did the colors on that as well. So yeah. Sanju's great, man.
He's the greatest color artist I think I've ever seen in my entire life.
He is very, very adaptable, regardless of style of art, it seems, because he works a lot on Bill McKay, and Bill just is a lot of really strong lines. There's not a lot of sketching and rendering, whereas you have a lot of rendering going on in your art.
That's true.
And he can modify either way. He can run either way. So yeah, that looks great, man. It's a great looking cover.
And I really, really appreciate that, because here's one of the things, and I tell people this all the time. It's awesome to hear fans tell me, that my art is good, but to hear somebody that's like a teacher or somebody you work for, like Tom, to say something like that, you guys can shit on me for the rest of the month. Tom told me it looked good. I don't give a shit anymore. You know what I mean? That's how good that feels. You guys don't even understand. So Tom, thank you so much for that, dude. That made my whole damn month.
Of course. You got people wanting another free thing, dude. Get another free thing. They're ready to pledge. Get another free thing.
Okay. Well, here's the thing is, guys, if you're going to spend over $50 on this next one, for our next backer, if you spend over $50, you will receive a Mark May Chromium Dawn of the Devil book. We have one more, guys. You thought I was just playing around tonight? Well, I wasn't. We have one more, guys. It's free giveaway time. All you got to do is go back to Kickstarter, and you will get this shiny, ultra shiny Mark May Chromium book. See it on the back there. Boom. Over $50. Next backer. I knocked off little G.I. Joe Mark. That's my G.I. Joe. What do you think, Tom?
That's oh my God. Is it Chuckles?
It's Chuckles' shirt. And
right. Yeah.
Yep.
Chuckles' shirt with a modified head. Yeah.
It's one of the dudes from the swamp. It's one of his heads. So
one of the Dreadnoks?
Yes, it's one of the Dreadnoughts heads. To think that I look like a Dreadnought, just why did my parents raise me so wrong?
Dude, the Dreadnoks have awesome gear, man. They're fine. There ain't nothing wrong with the Dreadnoks. Everybody likes the Dreadnoks.
All right, guys. It
funny.
Looks like we have our next backer, and guys, here it is. You are over the $50 mark, so that is going to you, James Smithers.
Mr. Smithers.
That is going to you, my friend. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. That one I will put with your order. Tom, do you like Scream? You ever seen the movie Scream?
Oh my God, yeah, 1,000,000 years ago, sure.
Yeah. Were you a Jamie Kennedy fan at all?
No.
Yeah.
No. I wasn't anti him, but I wasn't like.
Did you ever see Malibu's Most Wanted?
I have, yes.
Yeah, that was one of the worst movies ever made. Anyways, Tom, I want to show you this. I think you'll really like it.
What's up? It's Jamie Kennedy.
Oh my God.
We have a new hilarious comic book coming out called Hell Pug and Velocock. Have you heard about Hell Pug and Velocock? Velocicock? Hell Plug and Velocicock. Come on, this isn't it. It's half Velociraptor, half butt plug. I mean half cock. Hell Pug is Lilith. And she's Lucifer's puppy. This is from Russ, McLean, and Ed. Mark, what the hell? How do you even come up with this shit? Is this real? This is like a fake one. Alright, I'll leave it. But you can go long and edit it. Because I just wanted you to see that part. Hey, what's up? This is Jamie Kennedy. And I just want to let you know there's this great new comic book called Velociraptor Velocicock. Half Velociraptor, half cock. It's incredible. It's in a limited run right now. It's going to be an NFT. Velocicock. Velociraptor butt plug. It's a lot going on. Ed, Russ, McLean, Mark. Whew. Some of those late night brainstorms. Congratulations. Great book.
Anyways,
He wasn't stoned at all.
Here's
At
the
all.
thing. If you don't want to buy the book after that crazy guest appearance right there, how are you going to want to buy it at all? I'm just saying.
That's ridiculous.
Tom, let me ask you: have you ever seen the video of the slithery snake guy on YouTube where he's like, "I'm a snake"? You ever seen that one? No.
I don't do YouTube.
You don't do YouTube at all.
No. I mean, obviously, I've seen things on YouTube, but I don't like.
So
I don't go to YouTube like what's on YouTube and like go find things.
Right.
Like that is so outside of my norm.
So this YouTube video got like 80 million views. It was one of like the first ones that came out back.
And this is why I don't do YouTube.
Right, exactly.
There's no context to 80 million people watching this.
I'm not trying to piss you off before we start this video.
No.
I promise. This guy got 80 million views, and yeah, you're right. Like the coming of Christ wouldn't get 80 million views compared to this. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
But it's one of those things. Like I wanted to show it because it was on Tosh.0. It was hilarious. I hired this guy also to do a cameo for Hellpug and Velocicock.
I'm a snake. I'm a silly little sneaky snake. Now, I was slithering around the comic book store, and I started hearing about this new comic book coming out. Now, I haven't read this thing yet, but it sounds pretty sweet. It's called Hellpug and Velocicock. That's in case you aren't a scientist, that is half velociraptor, half cock, kind of like how I'm half human, half silly little sneaky snake. Now, I guess that also means Hellpug is half hell, half pug. Now, I used to have a pug, and they're pretty much all hell. So, Hellpug and Velocicock is about to be coming out soon. Snatch that thing up and see what that's all about, because it sounds pretty sweet to a silly little sneaky snake. And I know, because I'm a snake. I'm a silly little sneaky snake.
Your face says it all, my friend.
This guy gets 80 million views. 80 million views. And we're all over here like actually making content. Like, can we get a couple hundred people to pay attention? It's like, oh my God. Oh my God, this world.
And his cameos are like the most requested one on Cameo, even with all the actors that have done all the amazing stuff that they've done. So, that's so funny. Your reaction might have been the greatest thing to ever happen to this show. Wow, that was fantastic.
No.
So, one of the things I want to show you too is the Hellpug and Velocicock hype video. I actually hired a rapper to do the video.
I've seen this. Didn't you just post this on its own at some point?
I think I did. I hope I did. I got to show the world.
I'm like 90% sure that I've seen this. Yeah.
You probably have.
Well, who's the big bad boss? I'm the big bad boss. And my name is Hellpug. Talk a lot of shit when I walk. I just walk around with a bad mood. My attitude, that's bad too. If the queen said I'ma bust a move, if you cross her, I'ma bust you too. Lilith said I gotta go away to find a husband and my daddy, yeah. On a special mission, I complete the mission, always ready for a battle, eh? Find Lucifer, then bring him back. Think I gotta jump on where he hiding at. But first I gotta move the queen to a safer place where ain't nobody riot at. That's a 10-4, buddy, roger that. About to hit the city, I'll be right back. Yeah, the city of Los Angeles to a castle town where nobody at. Hold up, what is this that I see? A Velocicock, half raptor, half cop. Run up on them with them things cop. And around in the chamber that bang cop. Oh, now this getting crazy. Somebody else done appear. And it look like it's a rhinoceros rex. Me and Velocicock, we have a threat. And my God, there's another, now we have a mess. And this one's an elephantitis. Me and Velocicock must be united. Kapow, kaplooey, we fighting. We striking them quicker than lightning. It's history, put it in writing.
So that was the hype video that I built for it. That rapper is King Marino, and that song is on the Hellbringer soundtrack on SilentMayhemProductions.com. There are 6 songs on the Silent Mayhem production soundtrack for Hellbringer, so if you're reading your comic books, you can actually do it with songs. And here's the thing is, Silent Mayhem Productions and me owns all rights to the music. I hired all those guys, which means we can make a CD with all that stuff. And it's going to be at shows and conventions for you, my friends. The song that you heard at the beginning, the Hellbringer soundtrack, will also have that one. Please check them out. I've written 3 songs, which is crazy because I never knew I was a writer until 8 months ago. You know what I mean? So
I know that feeling. I know that feeling.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Wait a minute. Didn't I get a D in English, but I'm writing for a living? Like,
dude, I felt
understand.
it twice. Yeah.
I don't understand what's happening here.
I felt it twice, guys. Once in college and once in high school. And I finally, I mean, you know, I was just falling asleep. I think I was just
listen. 1990 was when I graduated, and in the back of business, in the back of English class, well, in back of all of my classes, really, that was when the Game Boy came out. So I had way better things to do than worry about Tom Sawyer's antics, man. You know, so.
No, you're absolutely right. So,
you know what's funny is I don't even do videos for my Kickstarters anymore. I haven't done a video for a Kickstarter since Penny 7.
Right. I think that's the first one I actually saw, and I had messaged you about, and I was like, dude, that video is awesome. You know what I mean?
It was, and I didn't want to ever do another one. So I was like, I'm done with this stuff.
It takes up a lot of your time because I make my own videos. And it takes forever, man. Like, even the intro videos that we do for this, I try to get on an hour early because I know it's going to take me 35 minutes to make the video, which is what I was doing before we got on here. And before that, I was doing fulfillment, and it just doesn't stop. After that, I'm going to bed when we get off here. Dude, I haven't eaten all day. My food's been sitting downstairs for about 2 hours.
When I'm done with this, I am going in the front room. I'm putting a movie in. I'm doing invoices for last night's live sale show. Getting prepped for Saturday's Scene 1, Take 3 with Jim Noble and David Falk. We're doing Superman, talking Superman on Saturday.
Which one?
That'll be fun. All of them.
Oh, you guys are going to watch all of them, or?
I'm not going to watch them all, but I wanted to go back and like I watched the first Christopher Reeve a couple nights ago. I watched the director's cut, which was like 2.5 hours. Like, goddamn, forgot how long this was. So I'm watching Superman 2, and then I got to watch Man of Steel again because what a piece of shit. But if I'm going to talk about it, I got to be able to tell people why it was such a piece of shit. So
I'm about to blow your mind. I have not seen any of the Christopher Reeve Superman movies.
That's well, no, I should say that's a 50% travesty because 3 and 4 you don't need to really. You can just like avoid those. But the first 2, like the first Superman movie, is basically almost perfect. It's almost a perfect movie within the context of it being science fiction. It is still to this day, what, now 40 years later, it has to exist in basically everybody's at least top 10 superhero movies, if not top 5, because all that Marvel shit, I don't want to hear about how great Ant-Man was. Superman was better. And what will be the struggle, though, is because it is dated within its effects and so on, but even now, those effects are really, really good because it's all practical effects. There's no CGI anywhere. It's all, obviously there's some green screen work, but the effects work and they look fantastic. And then Superman 2 was basically all of our childhoods, man. To see Superman versus Zod and the other guys was like, holy shit, what are we looking at? This is amazing. So yeah, no, you gotta go back. But I will admit that it might be tough going backwards, just depending on where you sit from a cinema standpoint, because it's like Godzilla movies, right? There's like these four really now segments of Godzilla movies, and everybody, it seems, their Godzilla is wherever they started. So if you started with the 60s and 70s, that's your thing. If you came in the 90s, that's your thing. If you came in the MonsterVerse, that's your thing. And it's really hard to go backwards.
It really is. So, like, even seeing the new ones kind of drives me crazy sometimes. I mean, the new design isn't horrible, but it is not what I grew up with. It's not like,
Well, what a lot of people don't realize is Man of Steel was made at a time when DC had a very real possibility of losing rights to Superman. They were being sued by the Siegel and Schuster family. There was a lot of that they could potentially lose. Now, there's a lot of stuff that was added to Superman later that they would still be able to maintain. So it wasn't they were going to lose Superman as a whole, but they could potentially lose a lot of the basic elements of Superman. And so they went to Man of Steel, not even calling him Superman, to modify this character for themselves, so that if they did happen to lose this lawsuit, they would still have their own iteration of Superman. Same thing with the New 52. That happened at the exact same time. They modified everything to be this sort of moment in time Superman versus all the stuff that came before. So that's kind of why you got what you got in some capacity. So yeah, come see us on Saturday. We'll talk more about this stuff.
Dude, I probably will if I have a chance, or at least you guys will be able to. I got to hang with the daughter on her birthday, so the one day I might not be watching Tom Hutchinson, but I usually am, because that guy's a genius. Listen to what he said.
Well, all of our stuff gets uploaded anyway. You can always watch it back. We do the movie thing Saturday at 10 Eastern. So if you miss it, you can always watch it back. We're on YouTube. We don't do anything with YouTube. We just post it there. So it's very easy to find. We've had some cool guests over the past. Adam Marcus, director of Friday the 13th, was there. Wow. We had Wesley Ure from Land of the Lost has joined us. So we had some cool guests too, which is fun.
Dude, you have had some cool guests. Wow. What's the coolest guest you've ever had on a show, in your opinion? I mean, they're all cool. They're all cool, but what's that one that was just like, oh my God, like this is synergy. This is great. This is amazing. Like,
I mean, we've really only had two guests that are like movie star people. The other guests we've had, Chris Mowry was on our Godzilla show. He's a big Godzilla writer for IDW. He now works for Toho. So that was really fun, but it was fun in a different context than like when we did Adam Marcus. When we did Adam Marcus, he was the director for Freddy Goes to Hell, Final Friday, and our whole show started because the Friday the 13th Blu-ray box set came out, and we were with Jim and David Fott. We were basically debating which is the worst movie, Friday the 13th 5 or Final Friday, because they're both really bad. And that was the context of the entire first show. And then, as it turns out, 5 episodes later, we have Adam Marcus, the director of what we decided to be the worst of the Friday the 13th movies. He comes on the show and basically talks to us for like 2.5 hours about Jason and Friday the 13th and, the history of the film and all of his thought processes on what he did. And it's just like, oh my God, this is unbelievable what's happening right now. We talked about his other movie, Secret Santa, which had come out a few years ago, which was like this Christmas horror movie, which is really great. If you haven't seen Secret Santa, go see Secret Santa. Or don't go see it. It's not in theaters. Go find it. It's on Amazon and streaming and so on. But yeah, Adam was amazing. It was a really great thing. But when we had Wesley Ure on, Wesley Ure, I keep saying it wrong, Wesley Ure from Land of the Lost, it was the same thing. It was like, boom, we're getting these stories about Sleestack and, behind the scenes blue screens and whatever. It's just like, oh my God, this is so crazy that this is happening. And this is just three friends who got together to talk about movies. And suddenly we're on episode 18 this week. And we've had like, 4 guests who are like really either truly involved, like actors and directors, or sort of tangentially involved, like Chris Mowry and Godzilla Comics, and working for Toho. And we just had Ryan J come on, who is an Oz historian, and we had him on for our Oz show.
Wow.
So each one is really unique and compartmentalized to what we were talking about, and they were all fantastic. So we're trying to line up some more guests too to just kind of keep that thing going. But you can't just, there's no Rolodex where be like, hey, Will Ferrell, you want to come on this dumb Facebook show?
Right,
that doesn't happen. So
it just kind of happens by
that's
chance. I mean, even my co-host, who is on a big show on the East Coast for the Angry Geek show, I mean, it just so happened by chance that he's there to be a co-host with me. Steph Wilson says, Mark May, there's a Velociraptor right behind you. And he also says, Mark May likes boy bands. Thanks, Steph Wilson. Love that guy. He does some amazing covers. I am actually going to do this again right now. We just had such good luck with it, and it just so happens to have, that I have a few of these copies that couldn't make it into people's orders because it was basically they were damaged. And so the printer gave them to me, and he said, you could just give them to people if you want. And I started thinking about that tonight, and I was like, you know what? That's a great idea. Maybe I'll just do it on the live show. And so far, we've given away 2 with the orders that we've gotten tonight. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Again, guys, I'm going to do, is this okay with you, Tom?
Yeah.
Okay. Free giveaway time. This is the Mark May Dawn of the Devil Chromium book. You can get this right now, guys. This thing is near mint, even out of the bag and board. If you don't know, my printer does an incredible job. These are super sturdy books. That right there is a beautiful chromium shine. Becky Fuller on colors, which is Shannon Mayer's girlfriend, who did the covers that Tom was talking about earlier, which I think is really cool that it's all connected like this. There you go, guys. If you spend $50 on the Hellpug and Velocicock Kickstarter, you will get this book, guys, on the Hellpug and Velocicock Kickstarter. And I will throw the I'll throw that up here in the comments real quick. Check this out. That link right there is where you go to get the Kickstarter. So if you're interested, go there. You will get this book, which is $75 by itself usually. There's just a little bit of a line coming down through here, which is why we don't put it in other people's orders, because you want them to have near mint books. So this is probably about 6 or 7, I'd say, with a line like that. But there is no damage to the book whatsoever. It's just that little itty bitty bit of dirt right there, and you can barely even see it. So that right there will be yours tonight, guys. Like I said, they're usually $75. All you got to do is spend $50 on the Hellpug and Velocicock Kickstarter. Oh my God, we are 3 for 3. How is this even, Tom? Is it because you're here? It's because you're here, Tom.
Oh yeah,
it has to be. It has to be. Mr. Mike, James Bingston, this one's going to go to you, my friend. I'm going to put this aside and put this in your order. Thank you so much. Wow. The Kickstarter keeps rolling on for Hellpug and Velocicock. We actually have 12 days left to go. I started this Kickstarter on Tuesday, and we're only running it for 15 days this time. And I know that's kind of ballsy, but I wanted to try it and see what happens because, there's a lot of waiting around, it feels like sometimes. Don't you feel like that, Tom? Like kind of towards the end of the Kickstarter that you just...
Oh, no, the ends are great. It's the middle period that just flatlines. Yeah. And that's why our Kickstarters, we've moved all of them from being 4 weeks to 3 weeks. So we've just automatically done that. And in fact, Goth Day, when we launch Goth Day on May 22nd, that's just going to be a 1-week campaign.
Oh, really?
It's a smaller book anyway. It's just its own special edition thing. It's not part of a larger series. So, last year it was Goth Day. We literally did like Goth Day, and you bought the books on the first day. You could get foils on the first day only. There was like a trading card you could get. Like that was Goth Day. And then the rest of the weekend, we added some other stuff as you kind of went through. But Goth Day will be a 1-week Kickstarter starting May 22nd.
Let me ask you a question. Are you going to do a Kickstarter before then, or
no? This one ends on the 1st. This Oz one ends on the 1st, May 1st. We'll have a couple of weeks to kind of finalize the campaign because that's how long Kickstarter takes to finalize a campaign, and then we will be already ready to go to get accepted for the next one, which will basically launch in about a week later-ish after everything's finalized. So shouldn't be a problem because we're all caught up with everything.
Wait in between a Kickstarter to launch them?
There's no rules. Basically, as long as the previous one is done, you can start to get accepted for your next one. But it really comes down to fulfillment. If you are behind on fulfillment, if you've got like 3 campaigns that aren't fulfilled, they're not going to let you do another one. So you got to keep fulfilling the books. But by the time we get done in about 2 weeks, we're going to be completely caught up and on time. We've been late on our campaigns over the past few years, but Oz that we did in January is supposed to ship in April. It is shipping in April. So by the time April's done, early May, everything will be done, complete. We'll have this Oz one finishing, and then we'll be going into Goth Day. And then before we launch Camp Rad Dog in July with Jim Noble, we will be shipping out both Goth Day and Oz before we get to July. So everything is on time and moving right now. Finally.
Jim Noble, another guy I've done a cover for Totally Rad Comics, which again, it's a small world out there, folks.
Yeah, it's Venn diagrams, and every circle kind of overlaps another circle in one way or another. Mm-hmm. So it's and you got to just try and make your circle grow bigger and bigger so that it can latch into some of the other. It's like bubbles. Imagine a bubble floating and it catches onto another bubble, catches onto another one. You want all of that connection as much as you can through all these different outlets. And that's how you get the organic growth. That's how you just move it slow. You don't need to go from 300 backers to 800 backers. That's infrastructure devastation because you're not ready for those numbers. So you want to just move slowly.
Speaking of what Tom's talking about, I was approached by Wendy Steen Shaner for Naughty Fairies. And I've actually done a cross promotion with her for Hell Pugged Velocicock, where Steph Wilson did a poker chip, and we have Ed Smith's art with the poker chip on the right as well. And if you back both Kickstarters, then you'll be able to get this poker chip. And so this right here, Tom, this was a new concept to me. You know what I mean? I don't know if you guys know me out there in the world. I'm not the most trusting person. I want you to give me a reason to trust you. I'm just not going to trust you off the bat. And that's just the truth with everyone that I meet. And it's just one of those kind of things that if I'm approached with a deal, anything Hellbringers, I'm like very skeptical to do it because it's my baby. Like I've been working on it for years. I don't want to lose it in any way, so I always get a little nervous about things like that. And to do a cross promotion like this, it took a little bit of convincing, even though it wasn't that much, but it was one of those, like, she's a great person. Like she's super nice, it seems like. And, she's got this awesome book and I want to do a cover for her eventually. So why not do something like this? And that's what I did because I wanted to do exactly what you're talking about. Grow internally, maybe latch onto the bubble of fans so they can see my stuff and be like, oh my God, this is an amazing concept for a comic book. I love it. You know what I mean? Yep. And all those bubbles are going to keep going up and you got to keep latching on to certain bubbles. But you know, you don't want to latch on to all the bubbles, right, Tom? Do you want to be choosy with your bubbles, or do you want to go
of course,
all
yeah.
of it?
I mean, here's the thing: you want to be choosy with who you're working with, but from the fan base standpoint, wherever it goes, if someone likes your book, then who cares? I mean, you just want people to like what you're doing. But from who you're working with, yeah, of course, there's always got to be sort of the okay, who is it? What do they do? Why do they do it? On and on and on and on. So there's definitely folks that you need to be aware of what they do, how they do it, if they do it right, if they do it within the context of it making sense with your brand, because your brand has to come first because it's yours and you're working on it and you're continuing forward. So if someone wants to attach to it, in this capacity, it's really just a win-win. It's just, hey, here's two campaigns. They're both talking about each other. And if you back both, you get a thing. It's very, very simple. It's not a crossover. It's not anything where their brand is infringing on your brand. It's simply like two campaigns. Let's talk about each other. And here's a bonus item for the fans. That's win-win-win. So yeah.
Steph,
and we've done that stuff before. We did that with Wendy for Scheherazade last year, even.
Oh, well, that's awesome. I mean, anything you do, I'm going to try to do too, because you're the person I'd like to emulate because I respect you so much. So, Tom, I got to tell you, Steph Wilson is on Facebook saying Steph Wilson is great to work with. What do you think about that?
I mean, he takes the edits. So as long as he takes the edits, then it's fine.
You know
if
what?
There's edits to be done, then get them done. But the last one he did, there wasn't really any edits. It was basically, what was it? Actually, the last one that he did, I reduced his workload because it was vampires jumping on trampolines, and he had 3 of them jumping. And I was like, no, that's too many. Just do 2. So actually, the edit for him was do less. And
wow.
So there you go.
Wow. A do less edit.
Yeah.
He's and here's the thing is, I know he wanted to joke around when he was saying that, when he wanted, the comment for that, and he just thought we were gonna, rag him a little bit. But the truth is that Steph is great when it comes to working with him. Like Tom says, I have actually worked with him myself as a publisher too, and it has been 3 times now. 3 times we have worked together already. And here's the thing is, he takes my edits, he takes my creative energy, and he goes with it. And he tells me all the time he loves working with me because he likes what we do.
You see all that background that's on that cover there? The only reason you have that background is because of me. It's because I taught him get what backgrounds are.
And I actually believe 100% that, because here's the thing is, there's going to be things in my artwork that I know that you're going to be able to look at it and be like, I taught him that. You did. There are things that you taught me too that I didn't even think about before we started working together. Because my thing is when I do a cover or a pinup, I'm going for basically, making it as real as it can possibly look. I was a painter way before I was ever an illustrator, and this whole thing is new to me for illustration. So I just got to where pencils are good. If I try to ink it myself, I know I'll mess it up. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So, and that's one of those things I'll learn maybe in the next 20 years or so. But it seems like you just helped me a ton, and I'm sure you do that with a ton of artists. Like, can you give me an example of one artist that's actually told you like a certain thing that they learned from you?
Well, I mean, we talked about that artist earlier where he basically, was like, yeah, you're right. I'm going to listen to you because if you've got a way that you want it, and again, I'm not going to tell him who it is, but if you want the way that you want it, I understand. I'm going to do it your way. I get it totally. Like, he's working on a cover now for another project. And I sent him a reference, and he was like, so what do you want out of this? And I was like, this. And he was like, okay. And like, what clothes? I'm like, this. And he's like, what this? He's like, okay, I got it. I'm doing it your way. And I'm like, cool, that's it. And as soon as he sends me the rough, Always, I do rough. I tell people, like, just rough this out, man. Let's just see it loose before you get into heavy detail, because if we need to change anything, it's way easier to change loose lines than ink lines. So I don't want you doing any more work than you have to do. So always just give me rough, loose ideas, and then we can, kind of go from there.
One of the things that Steph also said was backgrounds are not essential. Oh my God, this guy is great. He says elevator music after he said that too. That's fantastic. So, when was the first time you worked with Steph? Was that on the same book that I did?
No.
it was way
Steph
before.
had done, I don't know, maybe three things prior, maybe four. Odds and ends. I don't know years or months. I don't know time anymore, especially going backwards. Nothing lines up. But it was a couple of years ago. We started. I saw him doing some stuff, and that's the thing with it's Facebook, man. I mean, I don't remember how I used to find artists before Facebook was as inundated with art as it is. I know a lot of it was sort of word of mouth. I had hired a couple of guys, and then I was like, well, I need somebody else. And I talked to them, and they were like, well, go here. And I'd be like, oh, okay. And then go here, and then go here, and so on. So it was more of a word of mouth thing. But now there's so many art groups, and even artists have their own groups, and there's so much art online. The problem is in a lot of times someone will post something. I'm like, God damn, that is awesome. Who's the artist? They'll be like, I don't know. I just found it online. I'm like, well, fucking hell, that doesn't help me.
Right.
So always, if you're posting art, guys, I know sometimes you literally don't know, but in a lot of cases you do know. You've pulled it from somebody's site or whatever. Just tell me who it is so that I can then go say, yo, I saw your stuff. Somebody posted it. I want to work with you, versus me having to be like, oh, dude, are they on DeviantArt? Are they on Instagram? Are they on ArtStation? Are they on Facebook? Like, where the hell is this guy? Because I want to work with him. But Facebook right now is so filled with art that I see art every day as I'm going through my feed. I'm like, oh, who's that? God damn, who's that? Mm-hmm. And maybe 50% of the time I'm able to reach out on Facebook and be like, hey, saw your stuff. Let's do some work. But even in that capacity, I've met artists years ago that we never got it together. It was like, yeah, let's do something, and it just never happened. So a dude that I met about 5 years ago at a con, who does ridiculously cool stuff. We're doing this Camp Rad Dog thing, and I was like, you know what? I remember something that he did way back then that would be really, really cool and funny to do in this capacity. Let me send him a message again. And so I sent him a message, and I was like, dude, we never got to do anything. And he was like, I know. And I was like, well, you want to do something? He's like, yeah. So it's happening. And I can't wait to show you guys this piece. It is going to be like nothing you have ever seen. Well, maybe a little bit. You've seen some of Jim Noble's covers. Some, I mean, most of them are blacked out, but you've seen some of his covers. So it might be along those lines, but this will be nothing like you have ever seen on a Big Dog Ink cover. It's going to be freaking awesome. And I love this guy's art.
So
that's
awesome. That is amazing, man. I can't wait to see that cover. Jesse Wichman. Am I saying that right, or is it Jesse Wickman?
I think it's Witch.
Wichman.
I think.
Okay.
So far
Jesse
as I know, it's
Wichman
Witch. Yeah.
Is in the house.
Oh, is he?
He is on the comment section talking to some of the peeps. I just thought I'd bring this cover up real quick.
Oh, the Bellagio bubble bath.
Yeah. I own this cover, guys. I was a huge fan. I actually saw the cover on Tom's Facebook, and I was like, you know what? I want that because, number one, I love Vegas covers for backgrounds. I love them. Number two, I love the way Jesse draws. And number three, I mean, come on. Look at the cover, guys. This is great. I love this cover. So I figured since he's in the comment section, I might as well show that off real quick. Tom, before our next question, I am going to do this one more time tonight. Free giveaway, Tom, guys. Okay. If you guys are listening go to the Hellpug and Velocicock Kickstarter, which is right here, folks. Do me a favor and go check that link out right now. The next person to spend over $50 will get Chrome, Mark May, and Becky Fuller, Hellbringer's Dawn of the Devil book in hand. In hand, folks. As you can see, it is super shiny. It is like the shiniest book of all time. These chromiums are amazing. The print job on these are great. I am going to show you right there. Let's see. As you can see, it's like a rainbow foil for these.
Yeah, it's just hard to show them on screen because it just doesn't
it
doesn't translate. Yeah, you need
just
good lighting. There you go. That's better.
It just doesn't translate like what he's talking about because there's a certain shine you can get from it, and just
you need more ambient light than direct light. That's all that is. I have that trouble when I do my live show. I'm like, God, I can't find the thing, but you guys know what it looks like.
What do you think? I gotta figure out something like that. So, guys, the next people that put $50 on Hellpug and Velocicock for any of those covers, any of those 8 covers that I'm going to show right now. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. There's your 8 covers, guys. Hellpug and Velocicock is the Kickstarter. Go on Kickstarter, spend over $50, and you will receive that cover. And here's the other thing about these chromium covers is they are $75 a piece usually. So that's how much we sell these for. So you're spending $50 on the Hellpug and Velocicock Kickstarter, and you're getting this bad boy right here for free. And there's already been 3 given away tonight, and it's just got a itty bitty bit of dirt right here. It's not near mint. I'd call it 7.0. So that's all it is. That's all it's going to come down to. $50 on the Hellpug and Velocicock Kickstarter, my friends. Go there, spend the 50. I'll be able to mark you down because I'll be able to see you on the backer report, and then that book right there will be yours, my friends. So go check that out. I'm gonna show it to you one more time, just in a bigger view. There you go. Now you'll be able to see the chromium shine just a little bit.
That's better, yeah.
Dawn of the Devil is the book that came out right before Hellpug and Velocicock, and is the in-between between Hellbringer Zero, and then after that came The Sacred Heart, which is the first book we did with Chad Hardin. And here comes this one more time. Boom. There it is, folks. I am going to check the Kickstarter now, because that's what I did last time, all 3 times, and it was like boom, boom, boom. Not yet. Not yet. All right, so we can get back to talking for a little bit, finally. Okay. That was my big spiel, guys. That was my big spiel for the free giveaway. 3 for 3 wasn't bad. 3 for 4 ain't bad either. All right. Tom, one of the things that we had talked about earlier was what your favorite comics were and what your favorite movies were. And what is your all-time favorite movie? Do you even have one, or is that just the toughest question to answer?
It's a tough question. You know, it's funny is I actually made a top 100 list one time, like from everything that I could have potentially seen from the 60s to that moment that I was making it. Like I went through movie lists of every single year from 60 on. Now, obviously, older movies like the 30s, like King Kong and stuff like that was in it, but that would be the only 1933 movie that I would have seen. So that's fine. But I went into like the 60s. I went through all the lists. I looked at every single movie that was released. If it was something that I liked, I put it on the list. And then as the list started to fill in, I would move things around like, okay, I like this one better than that one. And things would start to move up and down. And it was interesting. And I lost the list, which really pisses me off. I think it's on a computer hard drive somewhere that I have to find. It was on a laptop that died, and I'm hoping I got the hard drive out of it. I think the top movie at the time when I made it, 90% sure it was The Empire Strikes Back. top 5 was like Empire Strikes Back, Jaws. Dear God, I don't even know anymore. But it was a really fun exercise to kind of put that together and really start to like Tetris the pieces. Like, you get these 2 movies like, I really like both of these. And then you have to think, well, okay, if I sat down right now at the TV and was like, okay, I have to watch one of these 2 movies, which one's it going to be? Oh, that one. So it slides right on top. And then you just kind of keep, moving things around until you get sort of some semblance of, 1 through 100. So it was an interesting experience. It was fun to do.
I must have watched Empire Strikes Back about 1,000 times.
Of course.
I was a huge Micro Machines guy for Star Wars.
I saw it 10 times in the freaking theater. So, it's well ingrained.
Did you like all the Jaws movies or just the first one?
Oh yeah. No, I mean, you have to understand that, Jaws is an entity into itself. It is again, it's one of those nearly perfect movies. Mm-hmm. Jaws 2 was more of turning the shark into a slasher. So it was sort of a moment in time. Like, we have Halloween and Friday the 13th. All these things were happening. So, okay, we're going to go to, it was only a few years later. So I guess I'm trying to think, like Halloween would have been out by the time that one came out. Maybe Friday the 13th wasn't. So really the slasher stuff started with Halloween for the most part. So, but they really turned the shark into a slasher. He was just kind of there now. Not really any motive that was given in the movie. If you read the book, or sorry, not the book, the comic book, there's actually more explanation of what was happening there, because it was written from a shooting script that was abandoned. So the comic book does not follow the movie. It does a little bit, but not completely. Go get the Jaws 2 super special. It's an interesting book. And then the third one was just, that was a product of its time. It's like everybody was trying to make 3D movies. Let's make a Jaws 3D movie. Wow, this is super corny. And then Jaws 4, same thing. It's like, hey, now the sharks are like chasing the Brodies around. This is really weird. Again, if you read the book on this one, there's a reason for the shark to be chasing them that isn't revenge. There's actually voodoo involved in the story that was eliminated from the movie. So it would have made a more interesting movie if they had left the voodoo stuff in. But yeah, I like them all. They're all watchable. Jaws, is a very dramatic movie. It's perfect casting, but it's not as action oriented as number 2. Number 2 is way more action oriented, and so on. So you kind of just have to go in like, hey, let's watch a Jaws movie. Which one? Well, what are we feeling like? Let's watch him eat some teenagers. That's Jaws 2.
What was your favorite death scene for Jaws?
I mean, the original Jaws, you don't really have death scenes. They're usually really under wraps. You know what I mean? Like Chrissy gets shaken around. That's pretty fucking terrifying. Watching her just get torn apart in the ocean.
Okay. So
at the
what
beginning
I'm saying is, what's your favorite death scene for Jaws himself?
For killing the shark?
Yeah.
Well, they're all stupid. They're all stupid. I mean, I think the first one is the most dramatic because he's got to take that miracle shot, That's probably the most dramatic, and then he blows up. The second one, he catches, he gets electrocuted. Dude,
I loved it as a kid.
Yeah. But through adult eyes, it's like, this is dumb. The third one,
when the ship like stabs him and all that white stuff comes out of him.
Stupid, like nonsensical. The shark is hovering in midair as a sailboat is like,
oh yeah.
Oh, we hit you. Stupid. So yeah, no, they're all
dude, as a kid, I'm like, yeah,
they're terrible. They're all terrible. But basically he blows up 3 times and then one time he gets electrocuted.
Yeah.
So it's really 3 explosions in different ways.
I don't know what's going on with him, man. Did you ever read, I think it was a Ryan Otley comic. It was bear shark.
Grizzly shark.
Yeah. That was it.
Grizzly Shark is super fun.
I love that comic book. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I read every issue and was just sitting there at the end of it like, I need more because like it just felt good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Grizzly Shark is one of those things that the next time I see Ryan at a show, I'm gonna be like, dude, you have got to let me put Grizzly Shark in Critter. Like this has to happen, man.
That would be awesome.
So, because he did a Critter cover for issue number 1
Oh, he did?
way back in the day.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is huge, man.
Yeah, it was awesome. I got hooked up with him through somebody else who knew him. So it was sort of a friend of a friend. And when he did the cover, I went down to San Diego Comic-Con. He was at the Image booth, and he was talking to somebody about stuff. And I was just kind of flipping through the book, his book of art, all of his Invincible stuff, because I loved Invincible. So I was like, holy shit, I can get Ryan to do this? Yeah. And so I'm going through his art, and I turn the page, and there's the Critter cover. It's in his book, like to show people. And I was like,
wow.
Oh my God. And so I just kind of left it there and stood while he finished his conversation. And when he came, he was like, hey man, what's going on? And I said, hey, so I recognize that. And there was no one on the planet that should recognize that but me. And so he was like, oh, you're Tom? And I was like, yeah, I'm Tom. And he was, and it was awesome. And I took him out to dinner, San Diego Comic-Con. We went out to dinner that night. I was like, dude, let me take you to dinner or something. He's like, cool. He gave me the original art. I'm like, oh my God, thank you, dude. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, Ryan is amazing. If you guys haven't met Ryan, go meet Ryan. He's a fantastic dude. He's a fantastic artist. Go read Invincible. I've been telling you this for a decade. Go read Invincible.
He's one of my favorite. I've definitely reached out to him to see if he'd do a cover for me, and I didn't expect an answer back. So I know he's a busy guy, especially right now during this Invincible stuff.
Super busy, yes. Well, and he's been doing Amazing Spider-Man for like the last 3 years or something. So
which is as big as it gets.
Yeah.
I liked his lizard a lot. I thought his lizard was amazing. Loved his lizard.
Yeah. Everything he does is great. It's fantastic.
We have a giveaway winner.
Oh, good.
That is going to be Mr. Rob Schiff, ladies and gentlemen.
Rob Schiff? I know that guy.
He's a good guy, man. I've talked to him the past couple of months, and he seems to be a big supporter. So,
he's on our show weekly. The Doghouse live show that we do on the Comic Shopping Network. He's there every week, or at least 90% of the weeks. Every now and then he ditches us, but it's a good track record.
He's a nice guy, and he's always talkative. And speaking of giveaways, I actually ended up buying the original for Joseph Rubinstein's artwork for Hellpug and Velocicock. And this is the original for it, guys. I know it's got a little bit of a shine here. There you go. It's I just wanted to show this off just a little bit. Just because original art, like Tom was talking about on original art, stuff like this to guys like me, this is like everything. So like the way you guys collect sports memorabilia, or the way you collect comics, or action figures, anything, coins, anything. This to me is like, this is the craziest thing for me to collect, is something like that. Well,
and beyond that, it's your book. It's not right. That's not a Superman cover, which would be cool, but it's your book. I have a number of original pieces from. Yeah, exactly. I have a number of original pieces from BDI people. Some of them were gifts. Some of them I just bought because I'm like, dude, no one can own that. I have to own that.
Right.
And they're like, okay, well, we'll work it out for you. So, I've got a bunch of stuff, and it's those that have gifted it to me, I am forever eternally grateful. Nia Ruffino gave me the Critter Pop-Tart cover.
Wow.
Todd Knock gave me his cover.
Wow.
Like Ryan Otley gave me his cover. It's been fantastic. And even when I bought the covers, everybody's been like, yeah, we'll work out a deal because it's your thing. I know it's your thing. I know you're not going to flip it and resell it. And I'm like, yeah, man, this is a personal thing to me. So I own. I met Mike Crome for the first time ever. I met Mike Crome. He was at C2E2 2 years ago, and I went over there and I was flipping through his stuff, and he had the Cupid cover that he did, which was really cool. And I was like, oh, I kind of maybe want that. And he was like, oh, I got stuff that's not in the book. And he goes in and pulls out the Critter, the Brittany Ears cover that we did with him. And I was like, Jesus, well, that's the one that has to go home with me. So by the time the show was over, I was like, yep, just give it to me. So I own that Mike Crome cover.
Dude, I love his work. I think his work is some of the best on the planet. especially recently, seeing all the things he does. And his backgrounds might be some of the best I've ever seen in the entire industry.
Everything about Mike is leveling up. I mean, like, just you can just watch. He's going to the moon, man. I mean, it's just unbelievable what he does right now.
I agree. Let me ask you a question before we wrap this up, because it's 9:00 right now. I know you said 2 hours.
Yeah.
When it comes to your career, when it comes to everything that you have accomplished in the last 10 years, everything that you've been doing, all the things that you do on your daily life, and everything that you have to show for it, with all the time that you've put into this with your entire life, what is that thing that just makes you keep going? What is that feeling of, this is the greatest thing in my entire life that has ever happened to me? Like, what's that thing that just drives you every day to just make comic books, even after you've already accomplished everything and done what you've done as far as what you've made? And let's look at it past the financial aspects. Like what is that thing that you just feel that just drives you, just makes you fall in love with the industry? What is it that you love about this industry, or what you do, that makes you keep going?
Well, comics is in my blood. I mean, I've been reading comics since late 70s ish time, which like Star Wars came out in 77, which means I was 6 when that came out. I was reading comics not long after that, or even during that time. So comics has been with me for my entire life. And I've moved in and out of it, as we all do. But the idea that I can be a part of this whole thing that basically, is ingrained in me, that's crazy to me. Like, I couldn't even imagine being an actor or a musician or any of that kind of stuff. Even though I love movies and I love music, but in the context of comics, comics is just what became of my life. I don't read a lot of books. I read like history books and biographies and stuff, but I don't read like fiction. But I do read comic book fiction. So comics is just the art form that speaks to me, and to be able to make a living off of doing that, and not even like I'm working on Superman, like I'm making my own things, and people are interested in what I'm making, what I have to say with the stories. They enjoy the artists that I find, even when they're brand new, no one's ever heard of them. Like, oh my God, Pedro Perez, this guy's great. That is super validating, because everything that I do is creation versus like just working for a publisher, and that's creating too, but it's not the same as like starting at zero and saying, okay, here's a character, here's the universe, here's the story, here's the plot twist, here, whatever. So the idea that I can actually create something of my own, and present it to the comic book going audience, and they're like, oh yeah, man, we're in, let's keep this going, that's incredible to me.
So it's definitely that fan interaction that keeps you driven, like the fact that people buy your stuff, and honestly, like every day that somebody comes to me and they ask, do you have the Jink Orange Red books, or do you have the Dawn of the Devil books? Like, can I get the books before this one? I'm like, man, you know what I'm doing? You know what I mean? Like, you actually know what I'm doing. Like, it is an amazing feeling. One of the things I told you earlier, one of the feelings that gets me really riled up and keeps me going is when a mentor or, somebody like yourself that I respect the fuck out of, just, gives me a compliment on my artwork. That right there, like I told you, is going to keep me going for the next 7 days at least. I'm not going to shut up. Adina will call me tonight and be like, hey, what's going on? It's like, nothing. Tom said I did a good job on the cover. So that's really awesome, man. It's been awesome having you tonight, too. I mean, you've been absolutely incredible as a guest, and I know for a fact that the show can go 5 hours. I know that. I know it. And it could go way longer. So I really hope this isn't the last time that you're on with us. Before we get off, if it's okay with you, I'm going to do one more free giveaway. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right, here we go, guys. Free giveaway time. Free giveaway. Guys, we are looking at $2,000 right now. We just crossed the $2,000 mark on the Hell Pug and Velocicock Kickstarter. If you haven't checked it out, this is a story about a little hell pug, Lilith's doggy, and she's basically given him a mission to go find Daddy, which is Lucifer. And on the way, he finds a sidekick, which is named Velocicock, who's half raptor and half cock, aka a chicken. Get your heads out of the gutter, folks. I really think you're going to love this comic book. If you go check it out, it's a action-packed comedy. You can see some of the original artwork on some of the page artwork on the Hell Pug and Velocicock Kickstarter for the front page. Right now, we are going to give away a Chromium Mark May Dawn of the Devil cover, which we just got in today, folks. You will get one of these with your order for Hell Pug and Velocicock. I'll throw it in for the next person that pledges over $50. This is the last one of the night that we're going to be giving away for the lucky backers that were on the show tonight with me and Tom. Here you go. This is what it looks like, guys. It's got rainbow foil. You're going to be looking at fine condition on this one, not near mint, just because of the little dirt spot right there. Who knows what it could grade at, actually. But it is a beautiful book. Even out of the bag and board, this thing stays incredibly in good shape just because of the way it's printed. I mean, look at the way I'm holding it. It's not flimsy or floppy at all. That's some good stock right there, guys. So all you got to do is go back to Kickstarter at Hell Pug and Velocicock. And this one right here will be yours. This one right here is over $75 is what you usually pay for a Chromium Hellbringer's Dawn of the Devil book. That's what that one would have been. I am giving it away for free right now. All you got to do is go to the Kickstarter, back it for $50. Send me that message and show me right here, or put it in the comments, and this book will be yours. Go for it. We're 4 for 4 so far, folks. 4 for 4, which is just crazy talk. Tom, I'm gonna ask you one more question before I let you go. We all know what you've done. You are an incredible indie publisher, and you're a person we all look up to, especially me. You're a huge influence on me. I'd like to know, we all know where you've been. Where do you feel like you're going? What's next?
Well, I mean, we actually just had a talk with a toy manufacturer who actually contacted me out of the blue. This wasn't me looking for it. This was them going, dude, you have cool stuff. You ever thought about toys? And I'm like, yeah. So we actually have it worked up right now that we're going to be doing a prototype this summer, probably like July. We're going to do a prototype in July, and then we could very potentially be doing a Kickstarter for a Critter action figure toy come potentially January.
Wow.
If everything works out with the prototype, everything moves as it should move, that is and sometime next year for sure. But the goal right now is they're going to work on the prototype in the summer, should be done by the fall. If everything is right and ready, then we can look at January as like, hey, we're going to start 2022 off with the first ever BDI action figure, and here it comes. It's Critter. So I'm super geeked about that possibility, because that type of thing in a lot of people's minds legitimizes a product. You
Right.
know, it's like, oh yeah, you made a comic book, but so did those other 50 dudes, you know,
Right.
over there. But if you
Right.
can come out and be like, no, action figure, that changes a lot of the perception of what you're doing from a publishing standpoint, from a production standpoint, from a growth standpoint. You know, when you start doing shirts, when you start doing whatever external things from the actual comic, merch, I guess they call it merch,
Right.
get the merch. That starts to change the dynamic of your brand. And that's going to be something that we're going to be looking at doing in 2022.
That's amazing. We had Raymond Leonard on the show last night. He did
Yep.
a figure
I know
for
Raymond.
Solo.
Yep.
And that was one of the things me and him have talked about actually recently. I just don't have the money for it yet, guys. I mean, the truth is I've put everything back into the comics that I'm doing now, and the ones that are coming out in the summer. And if I had the money, I would do it. Tom, I am so jealous.
Well, even Raymond, I mean, he's just doing them limited run. Like he's doing them for the backers. And we could do that too. I mean, I have a Critter action figure. It was molded from an old J. Scott Campbell Danger Girl figure and repainted, and it looks fantastic. And we could do that kind of stuff. But this would be a completely brand new mold just for Critter, not reusing old molds, just a brand new, completely new sculpt. It'll be in the box.
Well,
the whole thing.
We got a lot of people on Facebook that are really interested and really want you to make them. Just from the comments that I'm getting right now, they're talking about it. They really want to see you with those.
And this, and that's why we do the Kickstarter. You know, that's why, and they have that. So it would be a two-pronged thing. It would be our Kickstarter, and it would be them offering the figure through their website, because they're like, yeah, we'll just put it up with the other figures that we do. And I'm like, well, goddamn. So, you know, two-pronged attack means we can raise enough money to make, like, you know, 1,000 pieces, because you got to make a lot of them to keep the price point even somewhere reasonably obtainable, you know, for your fans. You know, if you're coming in here making like 200 pieces, it's like, Jesus, you know, they're going to be too expensive. But if you can make like 1,000 pieces, you can get the cost down to like, you know, $50-$60, including box and all that kind of stuff. So that's our goal, is we want to make sure that we can keep the price point reasonable. And then how many do we have to make to get that price point? And if that's our price point, then what is our total cost to actually make them? That's our Kickstarter number, so on and so on and so on. So there's a lot of numbers and things that have to be organized. But yeah, Pop-Tart, right? Pop-Tart accessories. Yeah, for sure. 100%. She's got to come with the Pop-Tarts. So yeah, so, you know, everybody just keep your fingers crossed. Once the prototypes start happening, and we get it in a situation where we can start to show you what's happening, we will certainly do it. But again, it won't start till July, and then, you know, fingers crossed, we'll launch Critter Kickstarter for an action figure January 2022. Kind of mind blowing,
dude. I mean, that's amazing and fantastic, and I mean, congrats, man, because I don't think it gets any bigger than that. I mean, once you're holding that in your hand, you're gonna know that, you know, that character has made it.
It's pretty crazy. It is pretty crazy.
It is. Well, my friend, it has been a long, fun night tonight. Thank you so much for being on the show with me.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Anytime that you want to be on here, I'd love to have you on again for another episode.
We'll do this tomorrow.
I got Adolfo on tomorrow night.
You can just bump him. It's fine.
You know he's my fave, right? He's like one of my all-time favorite artists. Just saying, Tom. I've never met him in face-to-face. I'm sure it'll be the first time.
Whatever. No, Mike's good. Mike's been a BDI guy for a long time too. Just talk to him. He's actually going to come back for another cover for Oz as we wrap up in October. So Mike will be back with BDI pretty soon.
He's never doing a cover for me, man. I've asked for like years. He's like, no, I'm too busy with the big guys, is all he meant to say, but he leaves that part out. You know what I mean? So
just keep knocking on the door, man. That's it.
Oh,
just keep knocking on the door.
You know I will. Tom, thank you so much for being here, brother. I'm going to talk a little bit more about Hellpug, and I will see you later, my friend.
You do it. Thank you, guys. Thanks for coming, everybody. Thanks for supporting Mark. And we'll see you all Saturday for Superman Chit Chat.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, guys. Seriously, if it wasn't for you guys tonight, this KS would still be at $1,000. So You guys rock. We are going to get this thing as far as we can get it, and we're going to get that next huge Hellbringers, the Ties That Bind us book out to you late June. Can't wait for you guys to see that one as well. Tom, anything else you want to say tonight, my friend?
Good to go, man. Everybody just remember, my Legend of Oz Kickstarter ends May 1st, so you've got about 9 days left. So jump on it. There are a couple of books that are already just about sold out, so don't miss out. You have been warned.
You've been warned, guys. And here's the thing: is his books do sell out fairly fast, so make sure you get on that. Tom, you have a great night, my friend. I'll see you later, brother. All right, guys, that was Tom Hutchinson. He is absolutely the man. I love working with Tom. I love talking to Tom. We probably could have talked all night. If you guys don't know, he is just absolutely incredible to talk to. He knows so much about this business. He's so deep into the indie publishing scene as far as how big he is. It's unbelievable. I hope to be half of that by the time I finish this career. One of the things I wanted to show you one more time, guys, was the covers for Hellpug and Velocicock. That's Ed Smith's cover at the top left. Brett Okamura's cover for Hellpug and Velocicock for the Hulk 181. Ian Chase Nichols right there in the middle. Sarah Frazetta homaging her grandfather, the great Frank Frazetta, with Sanju on colors. Stephen Pawala, my main man, bottom left, with Russ Cassidy on colors. Steph Wilson, the guy you'll see in the chat, with Carrie Ann. His cover's fantastic. Mark, I don't know who that guy is, with Sanju, and that's his cover. It's fantastic because of Sanju's amazing colors. Joseph Rubenstein, that's his cover right there, folks, on the bottom right. It is fantastic. He is the man. Love Mr. Rubenstein. All right, guys, it has been an amazing episode 4. Wow. Episode 4 in 4 days, guys. We are going 15 days on this Kickstarter, and we got 15 shows. How crazy is that? Guys, you know what time it is now. You know what time it is. I am going to go ahead and get it going for you. I love you all. We will see you tomorrow night with Mike DeBalfo. Oh.